So I live streamed the first half of the game last night. We got a lot of things working right now. I'm recording this video before I live stream again at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So we're grinding right now. School starts Monday. Everything's going on. But I want to talk about my observations from last night's game against the New York Giants for the Detroit Lions. Some interesting things that I saw in a couple players. Now, two players who are not written in my observations, but I do want to note and give them honorable mentions. Chase Cota and Adrian Martinez, two guys that I want to note before I get into my notes. Now, starting with these notes I told you, I'm watching the backers. I'm watching them backers. Derrick Barnes was looking like that guy. Played early, did not get a lot of snaps as expected. He's kind of that first team guy from what we're seeing in training camp, and he's looking like he's earning it. I mean, his instincts, he had a big-time tackle in the backfield. So right now it's him and Alex and then Jack Campbell and Malcolm Rodriguez. So my next note that I have, though, Jack Campbell is looking like that guy. I think that out of this game, from what I saw, personally, Jack Campbell was my favorite player on the football field. Now, you know that my favorite player on this team is Aiden Hudson. And that's, I don't want to jump too far because it's preseason. You don't want to swing one way here or there. But I do want to say, just imagine if Jack Campbell can be the Aiden Hudson of the linebacker core. That's something I'm just throwing out there. Not saying it's going to happen, but he did show some good flashes. And really, to play in man coverage against the running back, he didn't even look at the quarterback. So being disciplined, and I talked about his instincts. Now, of course, we say that. Why is he not already running with the first team? Had some big-time plays last night. I think it's trying to take that step, maturation process with the young rookie linebacker. You don't want to get him out there before it's too early. So I think still developing in that aspect of his game. You still got Derrick Barnes right there playing pretty solid. So he's going to have to take that spot, and we're just going to have to see if he can do it and when will he do it. I think that he'll end up starting probably before season's end. Now you have to wonder, will it be Derrick Barnes out or will it be Alex Anzalone out? And that's why I talked about this group, because it's so interesting. I think that really with Kelvin Shepard, just play the best guys. Even though you re-sign Alex Anzalone, I don't think that should hold you to having to start him. If Derrick Barnes continues to do what he's doing, continues to step up and develop his game, and Jack Campbell continues to do what we saw last night, because I believe it was somewhere around the second quarter, he had a drive where he dominated the whole drive, had 2 tackles, and then had to play in coverage against the running back. So that was something I saw from linebackers. So the next note that I have, Maurice Alexander had the punt return. And that was a crazy punt return, because it wasn't like he just got a lane and just ran to the end zone. He broke out of 2 tackles, spent the first one, and then he spent off of the second one. So the playmaking ability out of Maurice Alexander, he was returning kicks and punts for the Detroit Lions, went the distance. So that's something the Giants will have to clean up defensively on that end. But really a good return for Maurice Alexander. Like to see that. And he has some gas behind him once he spit out of those 2 tackles. And you think about it, because it's different when you're a one-cut guy. And really, I think coaches try to teach that one cut. So you make the first guy miss, and then you get upfield and go. And that's a different type of return than where you're creating. And that's usually why we don't see a lot of things happen like that, because once you create, sometimes you create fumbles. You're trying to make guys miss, and now you're fumbling the football. Or sometimes you're trying to make guys missing or losing yards. But he's spitting off of 2 tacklers and went the distance. So shout out to him. Dylan Drummond, though, that's the next note that we have in here. Confirmed everything that I've been hearing. And like I said, I don't live in Detroit, but still being able to see that on the football field, what he was able to do, made a lot of routine catches, looked like a guy that the quarterbacks and Nate Sudfeld was targeting. He was looking for Dylan Drummond on second down, third and long, looking for Dylan Drummond to make plays. He was doing that, showed the ability to not only make the catch, but not going down easy on first contact. So that's what I noted. And then Laporta, my next guy that I had on my list, had a drop against tight coverage. I believe that was man coverage where he dropped the pass, and I'm not too worried about it. Just something that, so what I was seeing from some people and hearing that Sam Laporta just trying to adjust. Seemed a little bit rattled. And like I said, it's not a big deal. First preseason game, you're still a rookie. Even though he's been balling in training camp, he's still a rookie. So it's going to happen like that. You're going to have some of those lumps. And even with J-Mo, we're going to touch on him a little bit later, but he had a drop. So the next note that I have, Brian Branch light up Cole Beasley. He lit Cole Beasley up. That was a big time hit. Because when that hit happened, And when I saw it, I said, who is that? Because I thought it was a linebacker, or it had to be a linebacker or a defensive lineman hitting like that. But then I saw it was Brian Branch, because you can always tell Brian Branch doesn't wear his mouthpiece, has his mouthpiece in his helmet, so you can kind of spot him out differently. He wears that green mouthpiece. Wore that green mouthpiece at Alabama as well, so that's probably something, deeper than just football with him. But I saw that with him, he had the big time hit. But I would say that kind of tampering between, he had a good game and still some things to clean up, especially in coverage. I thought he gave up some passes in man coverage and zone coverage. So one thing there, but still you can see the talent is there with Brian Branch. And like I said, one of the best players in the draft, not just defense. Do not know how you got him. You stole him once again, but you got to be happy to have him. So next thing I have, though, kind of on the downward side, struggling mightily with quarterback scrambles. When quarterbacks got out of the pocket, whether it was Tyrod or whether it was Tommy DeVito, those guys were going. So you got to wonder, that's something that has to be cleaned up, because Jordan Love has a little bit of gas to him. Justin Fields, we already know he has gas to him. So just trying to clean that up. And like I said, you wonder with the defensive scheme and with the quadrants, with the pass rushers, how are we going to keep the contain? Now, I think that when you play a guy like John Kaminsky, yes, he flashed. We're going to talk about Kaminsky. But when you play him, and if the quarterback flushes out, John Kaminsky does not have the foot speed to keep up with those guys. So are you going to try to implement some quarterback spies? What's the motive going to be? I think Aiden Hutchinson probably can chase somebody down, but it's kind of tough with those quarterback scrambles and even with read options. So want to look at that, and I think that's a point of emphasis going into practice next week. Just wanted to touch on that. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs, some unorthodox plays. He was between the tackles, and I thought that it would be Jahmyr Gibbs pitches, wide zones, things like that. But he was between the tackles. He was running ISO, inside zone, those types of plays. So seeing that out of him was kind of different from what I expected, but I think he looked pretty good in doing it. And that was really the question. How good can he run between the tackles? Because I think about Christian McCaffrey, and now I'm not comparing the two. I'm not doing that. But when he came out of Stanford, the question was, how can he run between the tackles, and does that warrant him being the highest draft pick? Because if he's just this explosive play guy, then we can find that somewhere. We don't need that as an every down superstar back. But you see Christian McCaffrey, he doesn't struggle to run between the tackles, and he's gotten bigger to this point. So seeing Jahmyr Gibbs do that was pretty interesting. I still believe David Montgomery will serve as that role, kind of as the bruiser, and Jahmyr Gibbs being the more explosive guy. But seeing that sometimes they could swap it out and do different things. Also, though, had the big time catch when the quarterback scrambled out of the pocket. He had that catch. But the thing that I saw with Jahmyr Gibbs, pass protection. And I think a lot of people are going to see it. A lot of people going to side with me when I say this on the pass protection. But he was solid in pass protection, picking up blitzers, different types of things. He looked good in that aspect. And you wonder, because I think the biggest thing is he doesn't want to be a tail. When you bring in Jahmyr Gibbs, you're probably thinking he's going to get the ball. He's probably going to catch the ball. He's probably going to run to the outside, but you don't want to be a tail. So that changes how the defensive coordinator can look at things for the opposing team, because we don't know if he can sit in here and block for Jared Goff. Then we don't really know how to really scheme up, because he can also do this, and then he could be a chip block and then still release. So it's different types of things. We talk about screen plays, just getting him the football, but it can look different because he can block. So that's something that you want to see. Keep doing that. Keep stacking that. That was something I was impressed with. Just seeing the physicality out of Gibbs. I know he's explosive. I know he's extremely fast. He's faster than a lot of receivers. But seeing the physicality was something that I was high on. So last two things I have, James Mitchell looking explosive at tight end. Had some big time catches, had a big catch with yards after the catch. He looked pretty fast on that play. So that's something I had. And then J-Mo had a touchdown drop. Well, I don't know if we could say it was a touchdown, but he had the big play drop. And that was Nate Sudfeld threw him the ball, had the rookie cornerback Deonte Banks on him, and it was in the breadbasket. It was a little far out, but Jameson could have got that. He could have got that ball. To me, I felt like he could have got that ball. So I counted that as a drop, but he bounced back, had a 2-point conversion catch, had some other catches. And what I was impressed with, he made the routine catches. I know he's going to be explosive. I know he's going to get 50, 60-yard bombs from Goff. But if you can make the routine catches, the 10 yards, the first down, be kind of the possession receiver as well, that's when you take your game to the next level. Justin Jefferson, he can go 50 yards, but he could also get a first down on every single play because you can't cover him. Devontae Adams, same type thing. So getting those routine catches is the next step in his game, and also working on the hands. Dan Campbell's already alluded to that. And really wrapping it up, I think offensive line play was pretty solid, but defensive line play, Isaiah Buggs, Benito Jones had a sack, John Kaminsky was dominant. I mean, he had a tackle for loss, and then he read a screenplay, had another tackle for, so he was balling out there. So James Houston, the Okwara brothers, we had a sighting. Romeo Okwara had a couple pressures, and then Julian Okwara, 2 sacks out of him. So I think with the guy that has been trending kind of downward in training camp, to come out here and do what he did in this game, I think that's going to give him some more looks in training camp. But really, James Houston got to get on the field, man. That's the last thing I want to say, though. I like Kaminsky. He was my standout on the defensive line. But James Houston has to get on the field more, because he had a pressure, he had a win, because he was lined up against the right tackle, and then he had an inside move, and he just won immediately. And I don't know who the tackle was. It wasn't Matt Pert. It was one of the tackles for New York. But James Houston was winning, and he gets pressure. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, one thing I said when I was in the live stream, early downs, maybe Kaminsky, Pascal, and then also Charles Harris. But then on the passing downs, different types of things. And what we saw, they weren't afraid to send pressure. Jack Campbell had a couple blitzes. Malcolm Rodriguez, different types of guys sending pressure with the linebackers, had 5 down fronts, different types of things. But those are my observations for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the video. We really in a grind right now. Like I said, college student school actually starts on Monday, so we're going to still be grinding with that, but that's something that's added into the schedule. And we're going to live stream at 1, so some things going on there. But I gave you a lot of room to talk in the comments, talk about what you see. What do you think about my observations? What were your observations? I know I probably didn't touch on every little thing, but as I take my notes, these are the biggest things which I deem noteworthy. Thank you for watching if you made it to this point. And as always, now